Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at some recent updates impacting NVIDIA and AMD, as there might be some warnings coming out of China. And I've gotten some questions asking how I feel about this, so we'll take a closer look at that. Then we also have just some quick updates impacting the overall AI space from companies like Perplexity, like Microsoft, and Sam Altman as well. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So first thing we can see, luckily right now, NVIDIA and AMD are both green. AMD is up a nice 1% as I am recording. Now, the main thing that kind of created maybe some bearish sentiment earlier this morning were some news that has come out of China. So right now, it's reported that China is warning companies against using NVIDIA's and AMD chips. Reports saying the reports are coming out of Bloomberg, where right now authorities have recently told companies to avoid using the NVIDIA chips or those from Advanced Micro Devices for government and national security use cases, according to the news outlet. And that's kind of creating this negative sentiment towards AMD and NVIDIA. Now, there was a really great person that follows the channel, Cheyenne. And Cheyenne was, Jose, could you please address this? Lots of people are saying that the ban of H20 in China is mega bullish for AMD. I think it would be nice if we talk about this. So let's talk about this. First, let me just say, most of the time when talking about any forms of AI chips, you usually just hear the term NVIDIA or the company NVIDIA. The main reason you hear NVIDIA is because it is the market leader. If you own about over plus 80% plus of the market, you're going to be the only sold discussion. But it doesn't mean that it stops at NVIDIA, right? No one's going to mention, unfortunately, AMD when it has such low market share at the beginning. But with this China news, the main thing that's happening here is, first, obviously, just like how we said here, national security for the United States sending AI chips to China, China is saying that using AI chips from the United States could have things like a backdoor. And now, especially with the recent funding or the recent mafia tax that many people are calling, where NVIDIA and AMD are doing a form of revenue share of 15% for AI chips to China, it's making it seem like if you are a Chinese company and you're buying AI chips, you're doing the following. First, you're allowing US technology to enter your servers. And second, you're also are funding the US government, which obviously could be seen as adversaries of the Chinese government. Now, I think the market originally was fearful of that, but throughout kind of the upcoming hours, we saw that maybe this is more just meant for government and military use cases. And most military and use cases, most military and kind of government use cases are usually prohibited from some of these licenses that NVIDIA, so I don't think there is a big market. Now, there are reports that even the big tech companies like ByteDance, like Alibaba, are forced to reveal why they're buying from this and kind of explaining why they can't go with some of the other players instead. So right now, it seems like if you might be a Chinese company and buying the H20 or the AMD chip, you're going to be seen as some form of sellout. And that could create some maybe volatility in the stock. Now, at the moment, we haven't had any concerns, and we haven't really heard any concerns. As long as these products are somewhat competitive to the domestic products, I think the companies out there are going to purchase there. Unless we get a true ban, and I've talked about it in the past, I believe a true ban coming out of China is definitely possible. It's nothing that I believe is going to happen this week or anytime soon. But I wouldn't be shocked if one morning we wake up and China goes, you know what? Maybe we don't need the U.S. watered down, obsolete chips that we're getting. We don't need the H20. We don't need the MI308, and let's actually just ban those chips in general. So I do believe that fear has become more of a headwind for the stock than a tailwind. But at the moment, I would say this news is not necessarily any more bullish for AMD. It doesn't mean that they're only going to ban the H20. If it does happen, most likely they'll ban both the H20 and the MI308. So if one loss happens to NVIDIA, it's most likely going to happen to AMD as well. Right now, it seems like the market is not worried about this. And where we're at right now, I would definitely agree with the market on that. Now, kind of staying with this topic about kind of this 15% revenue share with AMD and NVIDIA and the US government, today it does seem like the White House government says it's working out the legality of NVIDIA and AMD China chip deals. So, again, some lawyers and experts who follow trade have warned that Trump's deal may be complicated because of existing laws that require how the government can charge fees for export licenses. Now, based on the White House spokesperson, it also seems that right now it stands with only two companies, but perhaps it could expand into further to other companies. Now, this is going to be interesting, right? Because you also have other bans happening in the semiconductor industry. You can't send out certain equipment, you can't send out certain software solutions and stuff like that to China. Now, kind of ending that topic there, I want to share a recent post that Sam Altman did last night. So on August 11th, he was kind of talking about how they are prioritizing compute over the next couple of months in light of the increased demand for GPT-5. Now, he pretty much just mentions, hey, look, we're actually going to focus obviously on our paying users. Those are going to be the first priority. Then API. Next is going to be free tier of ChatGPT, and then prioritize new API demand. Now, because they can only have an additional 30% new API growth from where they are today with this capacity. What I thought was extremely bullish is they are doubling their compute fleet over the next 5 months. So this situation should get better. And they're not doing it by solely investing themselves. So obviously, we know that they have recent cloud partnerships with Google, with the other one, CoreWeave, and obviously Microsoft. All those players are increasing their compute, and also doesn't mean that doubling their compute, it means they're going to buy the same amount of servers that they have right now. As NVIDIA's Blackwell is kind of moving away, Blackwell, in theory, is already 2 times faster than Hopper. So you have to buy less Blackwells to kind of just double your compute in such a short amount of time. Regardless, what I think this kind of indicates is one, the demand for AI solutions is insane, that they need to double their compute in 5 months. Now, imagine when more and more people continue to use ChatGPT or any other AI server solution, how much they need to continue to grow their compute. So this is one of those things that is a circle, right? A wheel, right? More people join, more demand, more compute needed. Now you have more compute, you get better you get better solutions, you get more users, you get more demand, you need more compute. Again, you upgrade and you upgrade and you upgrade. So right now, it does seem like, at least for now, there's what I would call a near infinite glitch on AI compute demand. Eventually, that will kind of stop. Eventually, I just don't believe it's going to happen this year or next year. And I think Sam Altman kind of explains that really well with this kind of compute of them needing to double compute over the next 5 years. Now, we do have CoreWeave earnings. Hopefully, maybe while I drop this video, I will be already reading the transcripts from CoreWeave earnings. Now, staying here with the AI story, something wild happened. Perplexity offers about $35 billion to Chrome. This is typically, Perplexity offers more than twice its total valuation to buy Chrome from Google. So Perplexity is worth around $20 billion or so, maybe a little bit less than that. And it's trying to buy out Chrome. I don't see the reasoning behind this except putting kind of a dollar sign on Chrome. And obviously, you're kind of getting a lot of these antitrust. Maybe it's just a way to kind of say, look, if you want to split up, there's actually people that are willing to buy Chrome right now, so we can actually split up this business. I think it's more of a marketing ploy, and it's working really well. Everybody's talking about it. I don't think Google has any intentions of selling Chrome, especially at that price. But again, Perplexity is another name here in the AI ecosystem, and all these players need to find a way to increase their AI solutions via being data, via being compute. And obviously, this seems to be more of like a data approach if you're trying to get Chrome out there. Now, another interesting update is Business Insider reported that Microsoft is trying to poach Meta AI talent and offering multi-million-dollar pay package, internal documents shows. So again, we are kind of another part of the AI story, right? First, we talked about AI compute, which was super crucial. Now, and I actually didn't plan it, but it kind of it plays really well with this triangle or pyramid. Maybe pyramid is the wrong way to say it. Makes it seem like it's a pyramid scheme, but this triangle of three pillars in the AI story. You need your compute, you need your data, and you need your talent. And all three of those right now are still supply constraints, right? We saw from Sam Altman that we are compute constraint still, right? They need to continue to grow constraint. We see from this offer with Perplexity that there is some form of data constraint. Most companies need even more and more data to continue to improve their AI solution. And now seeing something like this, we are seeing that we are also still talent constraint. And that's why companies, if they're pretty much the whole supply and demand seesaw or scale, right? If there's not enough supply, the demand is massively high, so you're going to be paying a lot more for the limited amount of supply that's out there. And that's what's happening here. So Microsoft is following on Meta's footstep and making those multi-million-dollar pay packages for AI talent, which I think it is pretty wild. Now, I think that's all I have for today's episode. Like I mentioned, I think the China news is creating more fear than anything. I think in the long term of things, the AI market is still very healthy. Obviously, if we see some of that China news get maybe a little bit more bearish, it could create negative sentiment towards NVIDIA and AMD stock, as they both do get a nice amount of revenue from the China market in forms of AI chip. And in yesterday's episode, I actually even broke down what the gross margin hit would be with those 15% tariffs on AI chips to China, and it wasn't that big a hit at all. So obviously, any negative sentiments there could create negative stock pressure for NVIDIA and AMD. I do believe for both these companies, the long-term tailwind is still pretty much there. So let me know, what are your thoughts, especially about this AI pyramid scheme? I mean, AI triangle pillars that we were just discussing. It continues to be supply, compute constraint, data constraint, and talent constraint, which I do believe indicates that we're still very early into the AI ecosystem. So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.